Welcome. This is 30 Minutes of Truth for Life with Pastor Poole, pastor of the Bethesda Baptist Church located in Muskegon, Michigan. Join Bethesda each week on this station as we meet the challenge of change through Truth for Life. And now, Pastor Poole.
I believe it is important that I ask at this moment, rhetorically, are you prepared for life? Are you living for life? And thirdly, if you answer yes, do you understand what that means? Do you understand what living for life is really all about? Now, we're all going to have life beyond the grave. You don't believe me, huh? We are. If the Bible is true, and I believe it is, Beyond the grave, there is life. The context of that life is beyond the grave we have life. And the context of that life is heaven or hell. Whatever choice you make. You can choose to live a life in hell. Or you can choose to be with the Lord in heaven. Either way, it is a life eternal. There will be either an eternal life of suffering, or there will be an eternal life of peace and joy. You have a choice. And you ought to know there's no in between. There is no in between. There are some statements I'd like to make in the form of proclamation today. Sermonic, if you please. When you read this passage, how many of you have more than one translation at home? Wonderful. Wonderful. I think it is important for me to suggest to you, if you only have a King James Version, you need to get some other translations to help you understand God's Word. And as you listen to me today, maybe you will understand why I make that reference when I ask the question, how do we live for life? For you can't live for life if you don't understand how to live for life and what life is to be. Ephesians is probably the least situational of all of the 13 epistles that have been written by the Apostle Paul. And it is well to note as we read the epistles, and particularly this passage, is that it takes and focuses upon no particular incident. Christians, other than to deal with the fact that in order to appreciate the salvation that is provided for us by God, that we need to understand that there is a behavior pattern. You just can't act anyway and have salvation. The freedom that you have of choice says that you have to do one or the other. You can't straddle the fence. It is or it ain't. No in between. So when we read the passage, we have to recognize that in our time that we are dealing with the issue, as they did, of multiple cultures. And every culture represents a behavior. We are dealing with multiple cultures. The Christian culture is, if you're going to be saved, you what? Have to believe. And when you believe, you must exhibit faith. For without faith, it is impossible to please him. So therefore, you cannot model, prepare, build a life by living anyway. If you're going to have a life of peace and joy, then it is a life that has principle and structure. Which means there has to be discipline. Disciplines. You just can't do your thing. That's vernacular, that's familiar. You just can't do your thing. Not and be prepared for life. You just can't do your thing and think that you are prepared for life. For you see, there is if you believe in God and if you read your Bibles, you recognize that there is a singularity of life where God is concerned. There's a singularity in God. God the Son, God the Holy Spirit, all one. Lord, one faith, one baptism, all one. There's no disagreement among them, all one. There is diversity among them. They are one. To be a Christian doesn't mean that you have to be like everybody else. But to be a Christian, you need one Lord, one faith, and one baptism. Now, that's the word. And when you understand that, you recognize that the call of Christian unity as being portrayed in this 4th chapter, the purpose for living is to demonstrate oneness, harmony. All of these different things that God has blessed us with come together in an orchestration of harmony that is to the glory of His name. Nobody is separated or singled out. It's all, that's the purpose. If you're a Christian, your purpose is not to give glory to anyone else but to God. That's all. But you cannot give glory to God unless you put on the jacket, the principle of Christianity. You can't take a part of it and throw the other part away. You've got to take all of it. For it takes all of it to make the whole. Your car ain't going nowhere if it doesn't have any gas and oil. It's not going to operate well if it doesn't have any brakes on it. It's not going to last very long if you don't have some good tires on it. There are structured things that contribute to the whole. And if you are living for life, then those that make the life have to be lived in a disciplined fashion by you and me. I hope I make myself clear. I'm already long for today. But when you read the text today, it is obvious that the reality of who you are in Christian fellowship is that the Christian fellowship is bound together by the love of God. You can't be a member of this church and not love me. You can't really be a part of this family and not love the person on the pew next to you. You can't be living for life and sing in the choir and then can't speak to folk or get along with folk after you leave there. Means that you're about the business of taking on the holiness of God. So when you look at the text and understand what the text is saying, when I talk about the singularity of God, we're talking about the harmony of Christian living for life. The harmony of Christian living for life. And the basis of Christian living is what? Love. Now, if I was privileged to stay in the pulpit the next 50 years, what I would preach is love. No matter how many frowns, no matter how many sounds. With love. For that's the only way that we can live for life. Let me say to you that all of these things that we do have no meaning if they are not prescriptioned to take us to the fulfillment of our purpose. All this stuff we do, if it doesn't bring us to the place where we can embrace others, if it doesn't give us a forgiving attitude, if we can't look at another and see their faults and say, Lord, if it were not for you, there go I. If you cannot realize that where you are, it is not because of yourself. It is because of the love of God through Jesus Christ, who has made it possible for you to sit where you sit. with a hope for tomorrow. Now, I determined to read to you today. We've already had read to us one translation, and that is the International Version of the Bible. But I read a lot of translations, and I read them for the reason that I think that I may have mentioned already, because of the many we need to understand the Word of God. And we hear the Word of God as we are able to find and assess the meaning in the language that we use. If I was speaking French, you wouldn't understand me. Or Latin or German. With you. And communication. But I couldn't communicate with you if I was speaking a language that you couldn't understand, and you were speaking a language that I couldn't understand. So I read many translations, and I'm impressed by my daughter sent me. I've been talking about one Bible with a lot of translations in it. I want to just do two. I was going to do all four of them, but I want to do two. I think I have that time today. I want to make the message the last one. You've heard one already. Let me do this one, the third. And this is the English Standard Translation. These 16 verses. If you've got a Bible and have this translation, open it up and follow. I, therefore, a prisoner for the Lord, walk in a manner worthy of the calling to which you have been called. Now, I think I'll just go back and forth with that and the message. The message is more of a contemporary language presentation. In light of all this is Paul speaking to the church, Christian believers. He's speaking from prison. He's been in jail because he has stood up for the Lord. They have beaten him. They have taken from him. They have demoralized him. They have done everything possible. And he has message what's happening with the people who are Christians and how they are responding in the time they live to the principles of lives that are being lived around them. So then, in this message it reads, in the light of all of this, in the light of the fact that he's in jail and the church is being persecuted and people are having problems, here's what I want you to do while I'm locked in here, a prisoner for the master. I want you to get out there and walk. And then there's a dash. Better run. All you slothful people. Lazy. All you folk who are sitting on your backside. Get up and walk. And walking really isn't fast enough. Run! You can't be on the Christian road. Understand these next words now. On the road God called you to travel. Walk, run on that road. He didn't say come sit on the sideline and criticize. No. Come on, Pastor. Bring it on. When you're on this road, you move. Yes, sir. You go forward. Yes, sir. You don't stand still. You don't mutter. Speak clearly.
Yes, sir.
I don't want any of you sitting around on your hands. I don't want anyone strolling off down some path that goes nowhere. And mark that you do this with humility and discipline. Don't go off acting like you better than everybody else.
Thank you. Thank you.
Some folk look around and act like they are God himself.
All right, speak now.
Be humble.
Yes, yes.
All you've got is a gift. You're not the giver. You're the receiver.
Yes.
Not in this, not in fits and starts. That is, don't do it today, forget about it tomorrow, and start the next day. It's supposed to be continuous.
Yes, sir.
It's a continuum. Do it steadily, constantly. And as you do, pouring yourselves out for each other in acts of love. Are you still here? Pouring yourself out for each other in acts of love. Hoarding everything for yourself. It says pouring yourself out for others. It didn't say getting it and putting a lock on the door and saying, this is mine and not yours. In the next paragraph, you were all called to travel on the same road and in the same direction. So stay together, both outwardly and inwardly. You have one master. Don't go getting some clique where somebody who speaks loud drives you off into something you have no business.